Hello! Let's turn leftover digital kit papers into a long, slim junk journal. Welcome to Odulcina. I'm Anne, and if you've been struggling to start or finish your junk journals, you're at the right place. Today, I will create a slim junk journal version with the leftovers of this dressmaker digital kit that I printed and I have in my stash for a couple of months already. When I create digitals, I print many versions of them. Some printed the portrait version instead of landscape or vice versa. And then I have a bunch of those papers. So today I decided let's take papers from my big stash, my big pile of papers and create something with no overthinking, just creating with whatever I have kind of on my table. And so I will create a slim junk journal version. Why a slim version? It's because in the dressmaker kit, you have papers for a slim journal, slim long journal that I call them, or just a regular 9 by 6 journal, unless you print them resized in a smaller version. My goal here is to get the stress out of the crafting with no overthinking process. Like having a simple step by step way to create, to have fun, relax, and make it totally doable, whether it's your first junk journal or your next. Just having fun. All right, so my first tip, as you saw me building this junk journal, is I started with my design paper and I just add more papers from whatever I already have. So I started with folding the middle and the outside with my design paper, and then I added page by page the other kind of papers that I had on the table with me. I didn't place them initially. I just grabbed, we want a music sheet paper. We want maybe an old book page paper. In this example, I had like a typewriter page paper from a book. We want something that makes the noises. So that tracing paper that has been coffee stained, we want one or two coffee stain paper, and we might want a ledger paper, something that has texture, so a book page with modeling paste that I add. So this is how I started, and I just put the pile there and I added them, making sure that when I do the fold, they're not all the same length and width. So I played with that, and that was all. I didn't plan. I was just taking those papers, placing them into my signature. And now for this one, I wanted a little bit more design. So I took a design page that is for 9 by 6. So I trimmed him by tearing down the all the sides. So it fits into that slim long journal as well. And I came up with that. I really just grabbed a bunch of papers to have a variety, and I placed them however the size they were, resized them just one by one. Now I'm gonna go and ink the ones that I want to ink. I won't ink them all because the typewriter, the music sheet, they're already vintage papers. They are already look old, and I don't necessarily want that every single page of my junk journal has ink on the edges, but definitively the ones that I'm tearing down, like the design papers and that tracing paper, I want to add ink because I don't want to see like the edge when you tear the paper that is white. I just hate that. I don't know if I'm the only one like that, but you see the white around the paper where I teared it. So I want to cover that with ink, but I don't need to do that for every single paper. So that makes a little variety. If you want more variety, you could use two different ink colors that could match, like a more yellowish tone of ink and this brownish one. So, and you can mix here and there. I'm just lazy, so I'm just using one. I definitively think that the real challenge when you start making junk journals is to have a good variety of papers. Like having old book pages that you really like that are in different formats, like having music sheets or ledger paper kind of papers, um, embossed papers like I'm inking right now, modeling paste on pages. Sometimes we just don't have the stencils and the modeling paste. Um, when we start, we don't have all of the variety. That's why I offer in my shop some bundles of those kind of papers. Old book page with a good variety, some with modeling paste already done for you, bundles of embossed papers. And this is really to help those who starts with junk journals if you don't have it in your stash. Eventually with time, you'll be exactly like me. You'll have full and too much of those. You'll have full and too much of laces. But in those beginner days, I didn't have that stash myself. I mean, I totally hear that, and that's why I make those bundles available for you. It's really to help the beginners, and eventually you'll have your own stash, and eventually you might as well provide for others. But that's how it works. We all need to start somewhere, and when we start, it's not easy to have a good variety. This tool, I bought it on Amazon. Look at my storefront link in the description below if you're looking for a tool like that. This one, I love it. So it's kind of it replaces that big dictionary that I had in the past. You place the paper into the fold there, the triangle, and when you put the other portion of it that has the little holes, it keeps all the papers down into that fold. And this will ensure that when you poke the holes with the hole, it will be all aligned with the fold of the paper. So you take paper clips and you attach all the page together, and then you can measure, or you do like me and you just eyeball wherever you want to punch the little holes. And as you can see, all the lines are on the fold, and with the paper clips, the paper holds together so it doesn't move, because then you're going to struggle with going through the holes of all the papers if they're not aligned together. I'll put a link in the description below if you're a beginner and you don't know how to attach the signature, how to move around with the wax thread. Look for the tutorial video in the description below. Otherwise, I really recommend you get a wax thread for making the little knot at the end. It will ensure that it keeps the good tension. If you just take a regular thread, it gets some looseness within the thread and you won't have a signature attached as tight as it would with a wax thread. That's a recommendation. This is not that expensive, so if you want to have a good experience, you should definitively invest in wax thread. Don't forget that last hole where you have to pass twice. You need to make sure that you didn't get the thread in the other thread. And if it's the situation, like for this example, you barely see, but it was just a fine little portion of the thread, and I decided to cut it down. But otherwise, I would just undo it and redo it. Now that the structure of the journal is done, let's transform the cover. And then in the part two, we're gonna decorate the inside together. We have the basic structure now of the pages, and well, everything looks good, but I don't want to keep my junk journal cover as simple as just a design on a paper. So I want to add something, and I have those tags that are from the kit that I had left in my stash of leftovers. So I'm gonna play with those, and you're gonna see how if we add layers to a simple tag, it can become a real focus point on the junk journal cover. Adding layers is the key word. You want to add texture and layers, and then almost whatever you do will look great and cute. I had that tracing paper left over from the pages that I've done within the junk journal. So I'm gonna first start with adding a layer of tracing paper with the tag. I love the edge that is a little bit curly, so I'll put it at the bottom of it and I'll tear the sides and make it like shabby chic. You just grab a paper that is around you that is a neutral paper, and that works great. You want one layer that is almost the same size than your tag or your picture, whatever, if it's a tag or not. And you want it to be almost the same size, and you want tiered edges. You ink them, and here you go for your first layer. I love to play with the corrugated cardboard. So if you are having an HP printer, you have those instant ink boxes, but whatever Amazon boxes or whatever you have there, just tear down a cardboard that is corrugated and making it a little bit bigger than your tag or whatever picture you're using, and it's gonna add another dimension and it's gonna make it more sturdy as well. I love corrugated cardboard. I love seeing the corrugated cardboard here and there with some ink. I love that style. When you add some layers on top of it, at the end it's a really good focus point. You can do this almost on every journal you create for a junk journal cover. They will never look the same, but they will always look awesome. Then the way you attach it to your cover will make a little difference from a journal to another one. For this example, I'm gonna punch a little hole with an eyelet and attach it with a bulb pin, but you could just glue it down as well, depending on what is your background. In this case, the design paper, it's kind of the inside of the dressmaker shop, so I didn't want to hide it. We want to still be able to have a look at it, so in this case it's better to attach it with a bulb pin or a safety pin, or just maybe creating a flap. That would work too. So it you can variate the style of your junk journal cover by just the way you attach this corrugated cardboard with the layers and the design tag or picture on it. I'm sure you can easily imagine that even if we all take a tag with a layer of paper or tracing paper with corrugated cardboard, at the end we can have 20 different versions of it, and all of our junk journal covers won't really look the same. So if you're struggling with creating your junk journal covers and you love corrugated cardboard, why not playing over and over with layering with it? and playing with that. A tag that is floating, that is a flap, that is glued, stuck to your cover. And you'll see you can create a bunch of junk journal covers and they won't look like it's the same. But during that time, you have fun, you create, you don't need to overthink the process, and you get the therapeutic effect of creativity instead of just struggling with performance and finding ideas and trying to be the best of yourself. Because it's always the challenge. We try to reinvent ourselves with our creativity to create junk journals. But in fact, we can take one inspiration and create 20 different versions out of it. And those 19 other versions, we are in the full mood of creativity, no overthinking, just having fun, creating. And then if you're sick of it after 20, you can find another idea and get another 20 out of it. And if you're not sick of it, you keep going on. It's the same idea of mass production. We have one idea and we mass product, and I tell you at the end, they're all different. They're literally all different. So if you're struggling, take something that you really like that you did in the past, or something that you saw in a video on YouTube or Pinterest, and try to make something similar of what you love. Is it the shape of something? Is it the idea of using corrugated cardboard? Is it the idea of having a tag or a flap on the junk journal cover? And then you just focus on that and you do it over and over and over. And you're going to be amazed at how your brain will, the creativity inside you will kick in because you're not overthinking the process. You just try to do that idea that you have in mind and it turns around and around. All right, enough talking about that. So let's keep going on. I want to hide the signature, the thread. So I need to put something in the middle. And as you see, when I'm cutting that piece of doily, I move my scissors on the side as well, trying to kind of mimic a tearing instead of cutting straight line because it's the style that I love. And I'll just glue that and here we go. We don't see the thread anymore. And then I'll try to add a little more of layers without hiding the picture, the design paper, and without having straight lines. I just don't like when I have a straight line on the sides of the journal. It needs to be cut with something. It needs to be not straight. One thing that I love to keep in mind is always to ask myself, can I add a little detail or one other layer, and is it making a little difference? Because if you just add layers over layers and you just hide the previous layer completely, there's no point into that. But adding a little piece of lace here and there, a little label, a little button, a little paper, you know, a little bow. This is how you're going to finish the design and make one junk journal cover using the same idea look completely different to another one by how you embellish and you layer everything. So that's it for today. Enough talking for me. I'll let you watch the remaining of this video. I'm just finishing with little touches here and there for this cover, and I'll make a part 2 for decorating the inside. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.